My name is Claire Alphys. I am the Graduate Advising Services Coordinator here in the Department of Social Work. So I work with all of our MSW students, our current and continuing students, and then I talk with our prospective students, which is why we're all here tonight. So thank you for joining us on a Friday night. I know that can be a big ask, and I know you're also getting a lot of info today. So please know that like Caitlin has said a couple of times, all of this is available on our website. Also, at the end of my slides, I'll put up contact information if you'd like to set up an appointment with me. At any point, I'm happy to help answer questions. Just sit down, go through the basics. So just know that that'll be available to you. So what I'm going to talk about tonight, like Caitlin said, I do more of the advising side, registration, student support, things like that. So I'm just going to lay out some of the MSW Program Basics. And in that, I'll talk about our structure of the program, a little bit about some of our population in our program, and then wrap up just by talking about career, employment, because that's always an important piece to consider when you're thinking of really investing in a graduate program and your time and energy. So that's where I'm gonna start. So one of the biggest things I want students to know when they're looking at our program is that we're accredited. So we're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which is the sole accrediting body for higher education programs in social work in the United States. So this means that we have certain standards to meet, certain learning objectives, content requirements, things like that. And any MSW program that's CSWE accredited will have these same parameters. So they're there to prepare you for the field, to prepare you for licensure, and to make sure that you're getting the education, information, and skill sets that you need to go out into the field and do the work in whatever capacity you choose to do so. So Caitlin briefly mentioned we have two different programs under our MSW umbrella, as it were. The first is the Advanced Standing Program, which is for individuals coming in with a bachelor's degree in social work. Within the last 6 years, you can go ahead and apply for that without a petition. If you got that degree within the last 6 to 10 years, you would do the petition that Caitlin was referencing in the application process. The Advanced Standing Program is shorter. It's a 36 credit hour program as opposed to our regular program, which is 60 credit hours. The reason for that is because our students coming in with an undergrad in social work already have some of that foundational knowledge. They've done the field placement, so they kind of jump in at the second level of coursework. It is a summer start only program. So if you're interested in advanced standing and you're joining us tonight, you'd be starting in summer 2021. And this program has one field placement, our concentration placement, which is about 20 hours a week. And of course, Amanda will talk a bit more about that next. So our regular program is for anyone who has an undergraduate degree in something other than social work, or got a social work degree and it was longer than 10 years ago. So a lot of times when I meet with prospective students, they'll say, oh, well, I have a background in English, or I studied marketing and communications, or this is a big career switch for me, so my undergraduate is in something completely different. Don't let that deter you from applying. More of our students are in the regular program than in the advanced standing, and we have students applying with all different types of backgrounds. So please know that's why we have the regular program and why we have an entire year of foundational coursework, is that we can get everyone on the same page and with the same information to go out and to be able to work in this field. And you'll probably hear me say a few times, like, don't disqualify yourself because of this. So that's one of those. While we do have a lot of folks who apply with a background in like sociology, human services, psychology, there are many, many more who don't. So just keep that in mind. Our regular program is 60 credit hours. And I should mention all of our classes are 3 credits. So the regular program is 20 classes total, if that's a little easier to compute. And the advanced standing program is 12 classes. I had to do that math really fast, and I was like, what if I say the wrong thing? It's 12. And if I'm wrong, someone correct me. Regular program, fall start only. So if you're joining tonight to learn about that, it'd be a fall 2021 start. And in our regular program, you'll actually do 2 field placements. So you'll do a foundation placement that's around 16 hours a week of internship, and then a concentration placement, which again is around 20. So whether you're in advanced standing or the regular program, you have options on enrollment in terms of full-time or part-time. Our full-time students are taking 15 credits per semester, so that comes out to 5 classes. And they typically tell me, and I meant to remark the spreadsheet here, but that they spend about 50 to 60 hours a week committed to classes. So if they're full-time, that also means they're in a field placement. So this is taking into consideration, you know, your 16 to 20 hours at a field placement, your 5 classes, and then reading, assignments, papers, group projects, all of that. So I put that out there to say that it's a pretty time-intensive program and subject-intensive as well. I usually don't encourage students who are wanting to go to school full-time to also be working full-time. I've seen that it's very, very difficult to balance, and really we want you to be successful. Like I said, graduate school is an investment, right? It's a time investment, it's financial, it's energetic, it's emotional, and we want to make sure that you are getting out of it what you've come to do. So all of that being said, I'm always happy to talk about what different options look like if you are working full-time, but I like to kind of set that parameter and just be transparent that it's pretty difficult to do both. So if you are a full-time student and you're in the advanced standing program, you'll complete it in 1 year. If you're full-time and in the regular program, that will take you 2 years. A lot of our students opt to do part-time, which looks like 6 to 9 credits each semester or 2 to 3 classes. If you're part-time, you're actually not going to be doing field every year. That'll look a little different. And so here, the time commitment, I would say, is between 20 to 30 hours per week. 30 hours will likely fall more often in the years where you have that field placement. So if you're doing just the standard part-time plan, advanced standing will take you 2 years, and the regular program will take you 4. Sometimes people see the 4 years and think, oh my gosh, no, that's way too long. I need to get this done. I understand that. I worked full-time when I did my master's, and it took me 5 years to complete it because I went to school part-time. So please just know that I get that side of things as well. But that being said, what some students do is do a couple years part-time and then a year full-time. This allows them to kind of start out slow, find their rhythm, get their grounding, and then transition into a 3rd year of full-time to wrap up the program. So there are ways to do it in fewer than 4 years, but it really does have to work for you. So again, that's something I'm happy to chat more about, and how to balance those pieces in an appointment or through the unanswered questions form. So similar to enrollment options, we also have course delivery options. And Caitlin touched on this briefly, but really what this means is, how are you getting the course content? And one thing I'll say is that whether you're doing classes fully online or on campus, the class is going to be exactly the same. It has the same syllabus, it has the same required textbooks, it has the same assignments. Some are modified in the online to make sure that like discussions are being done and things like that, but everything's the same. You get the exact same education. So I just want to lay that out there so you know. About 30 to 35% of our MSW students are fully online. So this means that, and of course this is, let's say, pre-COVID world, that they do all of their coursework online, and they're always guaranteed a spot in online sections of their classes in the MSW program. These online classes are primarily asynchronous. So what that means is that There's not a assigned day, time where you would come together with your class and do a virtual classroom. It's designed to be more flexible. That being said, it isn't self-paced. So while it's flexible, we don't say, hello, welcome to Privilege, Oppression, and Power. We'll see you in 16 weeks in December, good luck, right? There are postings to do each week and reading and things like that, but you have the choice of when you want to do the work for those classes in your given week. If it works to do it all on Sundays or Monday nights and Wednesday nights or Thursday afternoons, that's up to you. So that's really where the flexibility comes in. At times there is required participation in extracurricular seminars, or there may be a synchronous activity where your whole class does come together. If that's the case, it's going to be outlined in your syllabus right when you start the semester. So you'll know if there are additional requirements and kind of tweak your calendar if needed. So the other portion of our students, about 60 to 65%, identify as mixed traditional. So these are students who can take a variety of classes. They could do all of one type, they can mix and match, but it's students who really like to have some of that face-to-face and to be on campus. So we have our on-campus courses, which are fully face-to-face. So it would be something that, let's say, meets every Tuesday from 2 to 5 o'clock. We offer our classes like mornings, afternoons, evenings, and on weekends. As I mentioned, we have our online courses, and then we have hybrid courses, which meet partially on campus and partially online. Again, I'm talking about all of this as if we were in our old world of being on campus. So for hybrid, that would look something like every other Tuesday you come to campus for the class, and on your off weeks, you're doing the course online on your own time. So some of our students choose to do all fully face-to-face, so they're on campus every week. Some students may do a couple face-to-face, a couple online. Some may do all hybrid. And the reason we have all these options is because we have, and all of you sitting here, I was going to say in this room tonight, in this Zoom room tonight, have different backgrounds and responsibilities and life components that you're trying to balance. So we really try to be mindful of that to make the classes accessible and flexible so that you can design a schedule that is supportive of all the other moving pieces that you're inevitably navigating. And I know someone had asked in the chat during Caitlin's presentation, can they switch between online and mixed traditional? Yes. Or vice versa, yes. The one thing I would say there is that in terms of mixed traditional, sometimes it's hard to get into fully online because those classes are the same size as our on-campus classes. So it's not like we can overload the fully online classes. So sometimes there may be a wait list if you're mixed traditional hoping to be fully online, but usually we can fit you in. And the transition from full-time to part-time or vice versa, yes, it can happen. And we also have to be very mindful of when that occurs because of the field placement, sequencing of classes, things like that. So again, that's something I'd be happy to answer in more detail when we do follow up after this event. So I wanted to touch briefly on our curriculum. Our curriculum is what's referred to as advanced generalist. So that means it gives our students components of both the micro element of social work, so that very individualized, person-to-person, more clinical side of things, as well as the macro. So the bigger picture, the bigger systems, policy, advocacy, legal issues, and pretty much everything in between. Because inevitably, wherever you end up, those things are intertwined. Social work is a systems-based field. And so those don't occur in vacuums. And we want to make sure that our students have exposure to both sides and to the meso, which of course falls in between those smaller systems like community or family or schools. So just know that your required coursework will give you exposure and information to all of those. But students will ask, or prospective students will say, well, can I specialize in something, or how does that work? And we do have what are called pathways. So pathways they're optional, first of all, but they're a way to focus in on a certain area or population, or maybe not population so much, but part of the social work field that you're interested in. So this isn't anything that you would need to declare like a major. It's nothing that we track. It doesn't print on your diploma or your transcript, but it's a way for you to let people know in your own professional materials if you have a focus or a specialization. So that may look like in a cover letter saying, I completed my MSW with a focus in mental health. So we have a large variety of electives, and I've listed a few on the next slide just so you can see the variety. But all of our electives cover at least one pathway, if not more. So really it's looking at the pathways, seeing what interests you, and then finding 3 electives that satisfy that pathway. Also, if you would like a little bit of everything, or you're not interested in having a pathway, that's absolutely fine. We want to make sure that you can kind of cater this part of your learning, these electives that are your choices, to what you want them to be. So if you want to focus them in, that's great. If you don't, that is also fine. But I just want to let you know that that is an option. And so, like I said, here are just a few examples of our electives. I would say this is less than half of the electives that we offer, but you can see it is a range of micro, meso, macro. And sometimes people will ask me, well, why don't you have an elective with the LGBTQ population? Or why don't you have an elective about working with adolescents? And I wish we could have electives for every population or setting. That would be fantastic, but we can't. So if there's one that you're really pulled to, I would encourage you to lean into that for your field placement, because you're going to get that direct practice, that hands-on experience, and that's where you're really going to learn. If there is something, you know, a specific group or a specific place you want to work or work in the future, that's the best way to do it. So, and I'm sure Amanda, again, can talk more about that. I'm just giving her a whole running list of things to talk about. So I'm going to jump into talking about our student population in the MSW program. And I want to start this by saying that MSU Denver as an institution is committed to accessible higher education and affordable higher education. And I think that the dedication to those two things and the actual like putting it into practice is what makes our classrooms as rich as they are. So I feel like we have a wide array of diversity in our classrooms in a lot of different ways: age, gender, you know, race and ethnicity, socioeconomic background, and even, like I said earlier, right, in your degrees that you're coming in with. So the classrooms are a really rich place to bring your story and to learn from your peers, and then to take that out into the communities that you're going to be serving. So just looking at a couple demographics, and this is based on our 2019-2020 student profile. So if we look at age, you'll see that about half our students are 29 or younger, and about half are 30 or older. And this is an area where I do get a lot of prospective students saying, oh, I haven't been to school for a while, or oh, this is a career change. I don't know how I'm going to do in the classroom. Am I going to connect with people? I would say the answer is yes. We have a variety of age ranges, backgrounds, interests in our classrooms. So, you know, it's not a graduate program where everyone is 22 or 23 and has just finished their undergrad. We really believe in the power of lived experience and what that can bring to the discussion. And so I usually tell students who are nervous about that, like, yes, and you probably have no idea how much you're bringing with that. So just keep that in mind. From a gender perspective, this is probably not surprising that about 88% of our students identify as female and 12% identify as male. That being said, we are seeing those numbers shift slowly but surely. So the age diversity shifting, the gender diversity as well, in our classrooms, and then therefore in the field when folks have graduated. In terms of race and ethnicity, our program is about 67% white, 30% students of color, and 3% who didn't report. And every time I share this slide, there are mixed emotions, of course, because this is an intense topic, and it touches on so many different issues in terms of accessibility and barriers, those pieces. But while there's a lot of room for growth here, it's also really exciting to have a graduate program that has 30% or higher students of color. I think what we see a lot of times in graduate programming is that they're traditionally white student populations. And so that's something we're really mindful about and really want to be increasing in terms of opportunity and accessibility. Class sizes, we keep them small. And like I said, whether it's on campus or online, we keep them the same size. Just because you're online doesn't mean you're going to be in a class with 50 other people. We want to make sure that you're getting the support, the connection, the time you need with your peers and with your faculty. And I'm going to wrap up here. So these presentations used to be a lot longer. And because we're doing this virtually this year and we wanted to make sure we could keep you engaged and get you what you needed, we couldn't do everything we wanted. So all that to say, I can give you an overview of program costs, but there's so much information on our website about funding your education, scholarships, stipends, FAFSA, things like that. That's also something I could talk to you more about in unanswered questions or in a one-on-one. But as you'll see, we have our estimated tuition and fee costs below for next year. And the reason you'll see a range of numbers is to account for what percent of an increase may we have in tuition. Is it 1%? Is it 4%? We don't know that yet. So that's why there's a range. You'll see too that the largest cost difference here is between resident and non-resident. To be a Colorado resident, you have to be in the state of Colorado for at least 12 months. And there is a residency team on campus who can help answer those questions. But overall, I really like to underscore that we just had to change to say we're the second most affordable MSW program in Colorado. I believe CSU Pueblo has us beat by just a few $100s, so pretty close. And overall, our tuition is 20% less than the average MSW program in the WICHE region, which if you're not familiar with that acronym, I won't try to tell you what it is, but it's 16 states in the Western US. So our numbers are good there. And like I said, it's something we believe in, and we really try to keep those increases minimal so that while it's certainly still a large sum of money that I would not ever deny, we want to try to make it more accessible for students. So somehow I hit my limit, and when I practiced this today, that never happened. I was like, I have so much time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move through these next slides. We'll just kind of skip over them. But it's about career outlook, salary, what our alums are doing. And again, something I'd be happy to talk with you about one-on-one. So I'm just going to move here to the very end to let you know that you can call our welcome desk. The number is listed here, and one of our welcome desk ambassadors can set up an appointment with me or with we have a graduate assistant named Rachel Durham, and she is also meeting with our MSW students. So just let them know your prospective MSW student, you'd like to meet with Claire or Rachel, and they can get you connected.